Today we're back in our commission series. I wanted to focus on the spawn area today and just see what we can come up with. So first things first, we're gonna jump into a call with the client just to make sure everything's on the same page it was. There's nothing worse than starting a commission and then boom, everything goes wrong. So let's hop in a call. I'm very happy that we hopped in a call because things changed a lot from the original plan, or at least I feel like they did. The spawn was originally supposed to be a grassy area, but now it's just going to be a sand area and not only be a lobby, but also be the first gameplay area. Now we almost have all the assets we need already because we made the beach boss zone a while back ago, and this is all gonna be a beach/island theme. But there is a couple things we're missing. First things first, we're gonna need a fence. And I think the easiest way to do this, throw in a cube, add some loop cuts, so we can have a little bit of a curve, add in a couple more cubes to make the boards, and then call it a day. Now I do wanna make a couple variations of this fence, just to kind of spruce up the map. First things first, we'll copy this fence post, and then make another one that has a rope instead of boards. To make the rope, we're just using a curve and then adding some depth to it. Definitely a very slept on tactic. Now let's copy the first fence and then just add some loop cuts into the planks. This will give it a more bent cartoon aesthetic. The next thing that we're gonna need is a sand castle, because what is an island without one? Or a beach without one? I guess there's probably plenty of islands without sand castles. To start the sand castle, we're gonna use a cylinder, probably 16 sides, and all we really have to know how to do is scale, inset, extrude, and that's about it. Playing around with the height and width of the done tower is always something you're gonna want to do, because it could stay kind of like long but slender, and that's gonna give a little bit more realistic of a vibe or of a look. But the short, stubby, sort of curved aesthetic definitely fits my vibe quite a bit more. Another thing that I've been absolutely loving to do lately with my meshes is inflating them. Right when I consider a mesh done, I just inflate it, and it usually looks a little bit better than when I started. It also gives a little bit more style, because a lot of people don't really do that. I do think that inflating, especially on this one, helped a ton. Now why not make a little flag to go on top of this side pillar for the castle? To do that, we'll just toss in a cylinder and then a cube, add one loop cut in the cube, move one line, and there we go, we have a flag. Now we can duplicate this whole thing to 4 sides to form the full 4 edges of a castle. Now I do want to duplicate one of these towers, throw it in the middle, and then edit it a little bit. Maybe shrink under the little balcony thing, expand some stuff, shrink some stuff, make stuff fatter, just move stuff around so it looks a little bit different, and have this in the middle of the castle. Now we need to connect everything. We can use a cube to make a wall, and then add a little edge on the top just for some character, and that looks a little too straight for our other assets, so let's go ahead, add 2 loop cuts, and raise the middle of the wall up so we have a little bit of a curve. I was about to leave Blender, and then I remembered we need an X marks the spot, but with a little bit more style than just a basic X. So we'll start with a cube, stretch it, add 2 loop cuts, and then extrude those faces along normals, and there we go, we have a basic X. Now we can add a loop cut to every one of those sides, scale out the edges, and now we have a little bit of a stylized X. Pretty simple stuff. X marks the spot is done. Let's hop into Studio. To start everything off, on the beginning of any commission, I like to send the client a drawing, a very rough drawing, rough sketch with just this snipping tool on Windows and me coloring with whatever pens are on there. This helps me stay on track and helps the client know exactly what they're gonna get, or at least the basic idea of it. Now I do think this is a very slept on but also very important part about commissions. It just keeps everybody on the same page. I would rather spend 2 to 5 minutes drawing at a map than spend 3 hours building a map with the client being unhappy at the end. So try to get on the same page before you start building. Finally, hop into Studio, and I do have this hill mesh already. We're gonna kind of scale, stretch, squish this up the mountain and try to make some sort of like grassy sand dunes type thing, just so it's not straight volcano side on the beach. We do want to kind of separate that the most we can, but we also want to make it clear that we are kind of scaling up and around a volcano. I think this looks all right for the hill assets we had. So let's move on and start referencing our drawing and getting stuff placed. We have the sandcastle and we already know where that's gonna go, so we'll get it placed. And we should also add in some fences just because why not? I've got a few of the fences placed and it looks all right. Let's go ahead and move on to this event zone. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the client wants for this, so for now, I'll just add some grass and some sand and see where that takes us. If it doesn't look good later, we'll definitely change it up, and I'll definitely hit up the client once again because I'm confused what we're supposed to do over here. Let's just add some fences to the other side of the island to sort of balance everything out. Now, I didn't make an egg or an egg pedestal, so we're gonna try to use the assets we already have. I think if we flip a bucket upside down, not only would it be cute and match the world, it saves us a little bit of work as well. And then for the egg, we're just gonna take a beach ball and sort of stretch it a little bit, and it'll be like an ovular egg, but I think people will get the point. The 3D text plugin is a lifesaver when it comes to labeling stuff for players and just to fill up some more space. So let's use that, go ahead and put the word egg above the egg and call it nice. Now the egg sort of blends into the background water, so let's use some of the dock to separate that. I'm gonna copy a couple of the planks and just use that, but flip it to make sort of a wall behind the egg. This will break it up from the background and just fill up more space within the map. Now we can finally start using some of the assets that we already had made before we started this video. I'm gonna use these stars sort of as seashells on the beach. We'll make a small pattern and then just copy and paste it all the way around. It's also at this moment I'm realizing mesh is, I know why I don't use meshes for grounds in Roblox games. It's so tedious, but hey, it is what it is. Let's get back to the brush tool and use it to place some palm trees. The brush tool, first off, oh my gosh, I feel like I use it every build now. It resizes, rotates, picks assets, literally anything you want it to do, it does it. So it keeps us having a random look, but weirdly more natural look, because our brains usually try to make things symmetrical, and that doesn't really look great in most builds. Now, the gameplay loop revolves around digging up these X's, so we're gonna use the brush tool once again and just scatter a bunch of them in the gameplay area. Now, this point that we see right here was originally what I was gonna call done. Like, this is everything that was on the piece of paper, everything I drew out, and everything we agreed upon. But after jumping in and playing, I was left severely disappointed. And if I don't like it, neither will the client. So let's get back to work. My first thought is move the egg to the other side. It gives us a lot more space to work with whatever this event area is supposed to be. And speaking of that event area, let's try to call the client again because I have no idea. Alright, we just got off the call. Guys, the event area is another gameplay area. I was under the impression that this was just something, maybe a hill that will have a teleporter that you can use for whatever event you plan to throw. No, this is going to be a carnival themed event area. So I am still gonna make a teleporter, but I'm gonna make it quite a bit more styled, aka a carnival tent with maybe like a yellow teleport thing as the door. I don't know. I hopped into Blender and very quickly, and I mean very quickly, whipped up this carnival tent, and then I looked at it and I was like, yeah. I put it in studio and no, this looks like shit. So I took a little break, I refocused myself and just kind of got back in my flow, and all I wanted to do was make something that looked better than that. And the new one is definitely a lot better. I also made a hill/terrain piece for me to place it on. This will help give it a more grand presence and also break it up from the rest of the map. Let's hop into studio and get everything placed. Now, getting this tent in with the terrain definitely helped fill in this map a lot, but overall it still feels pretty empty. Let's try to add in some particles just to bring some more life to the game. Now, I'm not the best with particles, so I am gonna toolbox these. Yep, I know, I said it. Toolbox, the dreaded toolbox. Guys, the only things that I think are fine from toolbox is particles, models that are marked as safe by Roblox, and then decals. And sounds, I guess. Sound effects, that's probably fine. But let's throw some particles in. Now, the map does look better and a little bit more alive with these particles, but I feel like a lot of our asset pack was underused. So let's throw every asset we have into the brush tool and just click around and see what happens. I'd say the map is finally starting to come together. It still overall feels a bit empty, but rest assured, I talked to the client about this and he said the gameplay loop itself will fill in the map more than the assets will. I can't dive too much into how that's gonna go or what you will be doing or what happens because it's his game and I don't want to give his whole idea away, but it shouldn't seem as empty once players start playing. I think that's gonna wrap it up for today. If you did enjoy and you want to see more content like this, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great day. Later.